So you're joining us live over the phone. Describe to me what you're seeing and how difficult it was just to get to where you are now.
Yeah, okay, so when we did our last live shot on our way from Corpus Christi to Rockport, right as we were signing off, we crossed a threshold where we completely lost service. We're calling it right now the black hole. And once we got in there, we started to see flooded roads, and we started to see tilted power lines. And there's absolutely no power. There is absolutely no cell service, and it seems to be like some of those crews were starting to make their way in, and that community desperately needs the Red Cross to come out. We spoke with one resident who said, yeah, they predicted 160-mile-per-hour winds. We got 160-mile-per-hour winds last night. The power lines, right as we were coming into town, were completely snapped off like a toothpick and tangled and mangled. And I have photos of those that I'm trying to tweet out, but I'm just now getting service back from what we had seen in Rockport. We talked with another man who said that he was in the eye of the storm, and thank God he was able to survive. He said his house is still standing. There are many in Rockport where homes are completely mangled. You can see inside. I have more information on that. But he said right in the middle of the eye of the storm, it was completely calm for a few moments. And he said you can look up and you can see the stars. And then he said on the back end of it, it wasn't as tense, but the pressure, right, as it was reaching and ascending up into that point, into the eye of the storm, was just so stressful of not knowing the uncertainty of his home or even his life. We saw limbs that were blocking cars. One man we spoke with said, I got to get all these limbs sawed, and I got to get my chainsaw so that I can basically move these limbs so I can get to my car. And that way I can go and see if my sister's okay. We ran into two different people who stopped us on the road in hopes that we had a satellite phone so that they can contact others to make sure that they were okay. A truly, truly heartbreaking thing for us to try and cover, knowing that we'd say, hey, we don't even have service ourselves. We are literally here to observe and report. And that I can't stress enough to see that folks like the Red Cross, and we did see some helicopters that were surveying damage in the area, and we hope that they can get over there as quickly as possible. But perhaps maybe the most heartbreaking thing that we saw is an apartment complex, and we saw a family starting to salvage what they could. These kids were expected to head back to school here in the coming weeks if they already haven't started. We saw them taking out football uniforms and cheerleader outfits from completely ruined, and an entire side of the apartment complex were knocked down. The bricks were just laying in shambles. And then they let us inside, and we were able to see, and I was able to tweet a few pictures of those before we got on the phone. But we were able to see right there a rabbit that was stuck in the cage, and that rabbit was able to survive the hurricane. We were able to get that pet rabbit out and into the truck for the family before they headed back to another safer area. You know, there were down power lines all throughout town. We had to avoid debris because we didn't want to get a flat tire. You know, I really wish that we were able to give you these visuals that's in Rockport. But again, it is a black hole there right now because
well, right now, Jordan,
how
actually,
hard
we are,
they were hit
Jordan, we are
by the
looking at your pictures.
And how severe it was.
Jordan, we are looking at your pictures right now, which is good news. We're seeing some of those first images that you're getting out there. I know I want to keep you on the line because we want to talk to you because you're there and you see what's happening and you're witnessing this firsthand. When I covered Ernesto, they positioned me right in the middle where that eye of the storm. And as you were describing the way the man described the eye of the storm coming over you, it is an absolutely surreal feeling. You assume it's going to be a scary experience, but it's actually very quiet. It feels like the oxygen has been completely sucked out of the room, and then all of a sudden, after it kind of passes over, it starts kicking up again. And of course, you never know what that damage is going to be left behind. Tell me, how are you eating? What are you doing? Nothing is open in the area. How are the people who stayed there, how were they able to sustain themselves?
Right. We've run into a few different problems. One is gas. And right now, the trip to Rockport, we don't know how that is going to affect us when it comes to trying to get to and from different cities. And that's something that we're going to have to assess down the line. But right now, our main priority is trying to get these visuals to show you and to so you could see the severity of the situation for those folks. I mean, a man literally stopped us on the road, shouted out the window if we had a satellite phone, was thoroughly upset with us that we didn't, and then drove off. You know, I mean, these folks really want to let other people know that they are okay, you know. And even he, when we were talking with him, had some dry blood from his ear, knowing that he said that he was hit by something that was flying in the hurricane last night, but he just wanted to make sure that folks were okay. We ourselves, we're trying to, manage with, we've got trail mix in the car, and we have waters as well. You know, the hotel in Corpus Christi, that's plenty of civilization, and we gave you all those visuals, and there's cell service here. And, you know, right as we were leaving Corpus Christi, we spoke with one more woman, and she said, this portion of the hurricane that hit us, this was nothing, she said, compared to some of the other things that have hit the Texas Gulf Coast. So I think Corpus Christi is in a pretty okay shape, and yeah, there's going to be debris that they can pick up, and there are going to be some things that they have to do to rebuild their own efforts. But Rockport is I'm doing my best to describe it, and it is not a good situation there, and they need response quickly.
Of course, I believe I heard our news director just say it got downgraded to a tropical storm. Is that right, Rob? It's downgraded now to a tropical storm, but still dangerous and could potentially be deadly. Hey, Jordan, while you're still on the line, could you just describe for me in one word what this experience has been like for you as you've seen this firsthand, and then now you're sharing these images with us?
Well, to be honest with you, given the nature of the business, and Lindsay, this is something between, folks who work in news, I would say stressful, to be honest with you. Just stressful would be the word I would describe. But after experiencing what we just did in Rockport, I would say absolutely heartbreaking. I turned to our colleagues on our way back, and I just kind of closed my eyes, and I said, guys, my stomach is churning with stress right now. Just after seeing what that family had to go through, and, just being there to observe and report, you kind of feel, and forgive me here, but you do feel a little helpless in situations like this. So,
luckily, our community is very giving, and hopefully we know the rebuilding process will begin, but of course it's so early. There are going to be so many families returning to the same type of devastation as the family that you just described. So Jordan, stay safe, and Herman, your photographer, stay safe. We appreciate all that you're doing out there. We'll check back in with you in just a few minutes. Let's go ahead and go over to Storm Tracker meteorologist Nicole Hartford. There is an update on Harvey.
Yeah, I mean,